We call the meeting to order, and we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski.
Present.
Trustee Keenley.
Present.
Trustee Wotecki.
Present.
Trustee Dante.
Present.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye, present. Okay, any public comment? Obviously not. The consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, you have roll call.
Trustee Narodowski.
Present.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee Wotecki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, next issue is the discussion for the, and the approval of the minutes for April 25th, the regular board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a
second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee Wotecki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, there's no presentations. Let's have the, we'll have the elected officials' monthly reports now. The assessor, please.
You received my written report, which was brief at best. We are still waiting to find out when, in fact, we are going to be open for for the triennial reassessment. There is nothing that has given us a hint of when that's going to be, and that really is problematic as far as staffing, hours, and outreach programs, and how we serve our taxpayers. So I wish I had more to tell you. Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay. Thank you, Connie. Clerk's report.
I have a written report and I have a few additions to it. Besides the Elk Grove Village Hometown Parade, we will also be in the Mount Prospect Parade on 4th of July, if you can save the dates for those. Also, you should have received an email invitation to the Elk Grove Memorial Day program, so please RSVP if you can come to that. And then finally, we the agency grant committee met regarding grant funds.
Deal with that, though.
Oh, we'll deal with it later. Okay. So that's it. Any questions?
Nope. Okay, Supervisors Report. Thank you. Just to follow up on a couple things. First of all, I'm sure you saw that we've made some personnel changes. Miriam has been promoted to be the older adult programming and benefits specialist. This is part of our efforts to expand our services to seniors, and she will be taking charge of particularly the part of where we're working with seniors to make sure that they get all the benefits they deserve, make sure that their applications and so forth they're applying for are done properly, and that's the first step. This job will be a much broader focus, but starting out, it's to work with them in ensuring that seniors are getting the benefits that they're eligible for, and walking them through the process for applying for them. To replace Miriam as the program support specialist, Kasha is moving from one side of the building to the other side. And to replace Kasha in the administrative office, Mandy Stevenson has been hired. And I'd recommend whenever you guys get a chance to come through that you introduce yourself and meet her. She seems to be a great person. I'm looking forward to having her on the staff and working with us and supporting the administrative team there. Debbie is taking the responsibility for getting her trained and getting her up to speed. So I'm sure she'll be contributing very quickly. I wanted to follow up on other things. Ropolo. The traffic issues in the Ropolo Durkin area. We ran into another snag, yeah, if you want to say a snag. We found out that we needed to submit a sign approval to Cook County for installing the signs that are part of the program, part of the plan. That'll be addressed in the new business as well, to approval to send that to the county. Once that's approved, then we should have everything in place. We'll be able to call the meeting with the residents, and Sergeant Brown from the Sheriff's Office will be able to go through the plan, lay that out, answer any questions, and then we'll be able to execute it, put it into place. So that should be the last step that we have.
Is that part of a board meeting night, or is that going to be a side?
It will be an evening, but it won't necessarily be a board meeting evening. It'll probably be another evening. We'll invite, Sergeant Brown will be there, but any other representatives from the Sheriff's Office. We'll invite representatives from Elk Grove Village, and we'll invite the Cook County Commissioner's Office to be in attendance. And of course, we will be there. We'll be hosting the meeting, sort of moderating the meeting, but Sergeant Brown will be the one presenting the plan. And this plan is the plan that's going to be put into place. I mean, we'll be able to answer questions and take feedback, but we've gone through surveys, we've gone through interviews, we've gone through field work, we've gone through other things, and this is what we've gotten approved finally from all the different players. So this is what we're going to do, and hopefully that'll solve their problems. One other issue there, just so you know, is there were some holes. We're getting some holes developing in the roads over there at Durkin and Ropolo. Nothing major, but Art is going in and cold patching those holes.
Those are township roads.
Those are township roads, yeah, Durkin and Ropolo. Okay, so that's where we stand in terms of the Durkin Ropolo traffic issues and the solution we're developing there. On the remediation front, our environmental consultants have arranged, and we've completed the testing throughout the property. If you remember, what we decided to do this time is to provide testing, put in testing spots throughout the property to make sure that we had fully identified where the contamination is located. That way, we can go and submit for a new SRP with high confidence that there's no other issues out there, and we can go in and say, you know, here's what the problem was, here's what it still is, and we need a new NFR, and that NFR should not include all the property. In the meantime, depending on what the results we get from that, we'll have to make a decision as to, while we're submitting for the SRP, if we still want to go ahead with some of the construction in terms of the bike safety and the challenge course. If it appears that there's virtually no chance there's any contamination down that way, we may move ahead.
So how does that affect the obviously the funds are there, but the construction part of it, I'm assuming that still has to be bid out? And
no, it's part of the I mean, this was included in the fence, the bike safety, the challenge course, the re-asphalting of the whole parking lot, the bathroom in the so the cleanup of the bike safety, the cage that would go in for the challenge course. All those things are included in his contract. We shouldn't have to rebid them, but we may have to have, how would you say, additional charges that are added as change orders.
Okay.
To change it. At least that's the way it appears right now. At some point, if this continues to drag on, we may have to rebid, but at this point, it doesn't appear that will be the case.
And then, when and who gets the decision to say if we need to rebid?
Oh, that'll come. That will come in coordination with our discussion with the contractor, with us, with our attorney. and determine, what legally we need to do, what we all agree to do at that point.
Fair enough.
But right now, I think we could move forward with change orders. Not the way I'd like to operate, but we're behind the hardball here, and that we're trying to work our way through this remediation and still get everything that we need to get done completed. I wish this wasn't dragging on forever, but the remediation issues take a lot of time. I wish we'd gotten a clean piece of property when we moved in here, but we didn't, I've also, too, just as a side comment, I've also talked to Elk Grove High School, their CTE program may be willing to, or may be interested in building houses for the challenge course as one of their projects. So I need to follow up with Kyle Burritt, who's their, I think, the vice principal for CTE, and we'll see if that's workable, if they can do that or not. Okay, the Community Empowerment Fund, just so you know, we had a meeting of the Community Empowerment Fund. The new bylaws were approved, and the members of that new board, of the new board for the CEF have been named. The staff members will be myself, the chairman, Trustee Dante, Administrator Piak, who's the Secretary-Treasurer, and Corey Dewey. The citizens that will be on that board are Dr. Katie Asso, who's with District 59, Valerie Norris, who's with District 214, and Kevin Kinsella, who's with KCK Ventures. He works in networking business and services. And they were former members of the board, and they volunteered to stay on. And I think they're very good. They're very good additions to the board. The new bylaws on the CEF basically were necessary to tighten up the financial controls, to ensure that that this fund continued to function sort of in a way that the board, that the Elk Grove Township was comfortable, that we didn't lose control of the organization. And so there was changes made just to tighten things up in terms of organization, in terms of finances, and in terms of purpose and function. Our attorneys was comfortable with it all. The board was comfortable with it all. So we're now starting a new phase for the CEF, and we're also going to make more of an effort to fundraise and to expand its resources so that it can be used more aggressively as a supplement to the services the financial support that social services provides. I think it has proven to be very helpful in situations where individuals run out of all the government all the government programs or resources that are available for them, yet still legitimately have issues and have problems. We can then draw on the CEF. They will allocate funds to us to help these people continue to cover their problems until a solution is found, which sometimes legitimately goes beyond what can be handled through government financing. Okay, let's see, anything else here? We have, there is, the IGA for plowing and for snow removal and for, well, not brush pickup, it's for snow removal. Mount Prospect sent us a proposal. It's very workable and very financially fair. The issue we have right now is that now roads are in question, whether they're our responsibility or their responsibility or they're private roads. Issues in terms of putting this IGA together have just popped up that I guess we had the determination of what were the township roads or what were the villages roads or what were private roads. Those decisions or county had had been around for years and years, and now we're finding that maybe what's been in place or what was assumed is not necessarily the case. So the assessor's office is going to do a deep dive in determining who has responsibilities for what roads. In particular, what are the roads we have responsibility on? And I need to know that because the IGA that we do with Mount Prospect and hopefully then with Elk Grove Village needs to specifically identify those roads that are ours that we need them to plow. We don't want to be paying.
Which could go.
Yeah, we don't
Or
want,
down.
we don't want them to be plowing roads that are paying them to plow roads that are their roads. On the same token, we don't want them to be plowing roads, and they don't want to be plowing roads that are privately owned. So we need to do a deep dive on here. This is another just example of what I think our board has been more focused on, is we've been going through kind of making sure that all the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted. After we've done a lot of broad strategic things, now we're making sure that all these programs and things are being done effectively, efficiently, and correctly. And this is another example of where we just need to go through and make sure that we know and have verification of who has what roads.
And excuse my ignorance, but what is IGA?
Intergovernmental agreement.
Okay,
That's an agreement between two governmental bodies.
gotcha.
And in this case, we would be paying Mount Prospect to plow roads, our township roads, so that, because we've done away with our highway department, Art has been plowing as a private contractor. I mean, he's our field rep, and he's paid a small salary, but then we also pay him hourly to do the plowing. But what we want to get to is we want to get to IGAs where Elk Grove plows the township roads in the Elk Grove area, and Mount Prospect plows the road
That
in the
would
Mount
be
Prospect
in
area.
IGA then?
Those would each be IGAs.
Gotcha,
And
I
then
understand now.
they agree to plow, and we agree to subsidize them to a certain amount, for a certain amount of money. And like I said, what they have proposed is very reasonable, particularly relative to what some townships proposed.
Would the cost factor be what, more or less or the same of what we're currently paying for, like,
A lot less.
it'd be less than what we're
Well,
currently paying?
I wouldn't say it was less than what Art, it's less than what the cost was for us as a highway department to be doing this, considerably less than what the cost of the highway department. Art was just a part-time, was a temporary fill to do that plowing.
A bridge, if you will.
A bridge to this. I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly whether it's in one-to-one offset. I would think Art was maybe a little bit cheaper, but we want something in place that is
But at
permanent.
the end of the line, it's still
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
permanent in its quality, and
It would
I'm
still
not
be
saying
less-
Art isn't doing quality work, but I mean.
It's still gonna be less than what we had as a highway.
Oh, more than the highway department, and I want to get it, I'd like to get this set up with the villages, because that is a competency they have, and
they're out there already.
and they're out there doing it anyway, it
Right.
makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, we already talked about the parades, and I'm sure Vince will be in touch with you all. We're at a couple, the Mount Prospect Block Party at the Mount Prospect Market Days, and also we're looking also to find maybe something with Elk Grove Village. We'll have booths on a couple of occasions at these events, where we will have material to pass out, have some swag also to make available, and give us an opportunity to make people, once again, more aware of the services that we provide and of what we are doing for the community, so that, these great programs we have are actually known by our residents and used by our residents. Like I've always said, we have some of the best services and best programs that nobody knows about, and should know about. Okay, so Vince will follow up on that with everybody, and we'd like everyone, like with the parade, all the elected officials should participate in some way. We'll try to get some of the employees to participate as well too, but it's voluntary on their part. And in the booth, same things, the elected officials, we need to volunteer time to man those.
Do we have dates on the block party or the market booths? Or you can email us?
Yes, I'll email you. I gave them
Okay.
to Paul.
Okay,
I met with Paul last week to go
Great.
over the information that George just mentioned, handouts,
sounds good.
pictures of the food pantry and so on. But he has the dates in there.
Okay, cool.
Vince has worked to put together what we need at these different events. And once he's developed sort of, in a sense, a package, that same package can be moved to each event we participate in. A tent, a table, a covering for the table, brochures, pens, whatever. So, okay? All right, I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions of me?
Nope.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the elected officials' reports?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll move on here. Correspondence, I've included in here information about the Toy Annual Educational Conference in November down in Springfield. This is the one conference that we encourage elected officials to participate in. The others are very voluntary, whatever you feel is appropriate for you or what you feel that you'd learn something from. For instance, Vince and I are going to a training conference on Thursday in Rockford because there's a couple issues or a couple sessions that we feel would be beneficial. That's voluntary. This is one which is voluntary, but I strongly encourage you participate. At this is for all the different townships. Virtually all townships provide representatives to this. There's a variety of educational seminars and sessions for all different offices, to trustee, assessors, clerks, supervisors. There's general sessions with, I think, very knowledgeable speakers. There's a review of the legislative issues that are on the table. And it's a good chance for us to network with some of our other townships and find out what they're doing and how maybe we can learn and benefit from that. And that's in November 13th to 15th. So if you can make that free, available, we usually get together and a couple of us will drive together and we stay down there, I think, for one night,
One or two nights,
One or two
depending,
nights,
yeah.
depending on what you can do. Okay, old business, there's none. A new business, transfer of appropriations. You have the information in your package. Basically what this is we have to have a balanced budget at the end of the year. As you know, some line items that we budget for, we spend more than we budgeted for whatever reason. Some of them we spend less. So at the end of the year, we have to transfer from those, or we transfer from those that we spent less to those we spent more to balance it out. As long as it's within 10%, as long as it's not more than 10% of the budget, each of these three budgets, we can do that. The town and social services are within the 10%. The road department is outside of the 10%. Because we had a couple projects. In fact, in case of one of them on Diane, we had a project repairing some of the road that we did not expect to have, some of the curbing and so forth, and that resulted in us spending more than we expected overall, and we can't offset that totally by moving funds from another line item in the highway department budget. So what I need to do is approve the transfers appropriation for the town fund, social services, and road department. We are transferring up to 10% of the road department. And then on the next line, we will do the tentative budget for the road department amended, which will cover the amount over the 10%. So if for the transfer of appropriations, do I get a motion to approve the transfers?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion on that? Do you understand what I was saying? Okay? All right, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Woteki,
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Now, on number 2, 21-22 tentative budget, if you remember, that's last year's budget. The road department, we're amending that budget because we couldn't balance it by just moving money between the different line items where there was an over expenditure or an under expenditure. It was more than 10%. So that amount over 10% has to be accounted for by us amending retroactively the road and bridge budget. You have that inside here. Do I have a motion to approve and this will sit on the table, by the way. This is the tentative. It'll sit for 30 days, and then we'll vote on it. We'll vote on it next meeting. So just a motion to approve the 2021-22 tentative budget for the road department as amended, and we will then vote on this for final approval at the June meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Once again, this is just a tentative. This will sit on the table for review by citizens or whoever wants to, and then we'll do the final at the June meeting. Roll call?
Trustee Narodowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee Wojciechowski.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, the next item, I'm trying to get it here, is Resolution 2022-3 declaring certain township personal property as surplus. Let me just pull it out here. Okay. The surplus items that we're dealing with here are items that we have that we no longer need. We have to get approval from the board to dispose of them. As you can see, most of these are related to the Road and Bridge Department, or Road and Bridge Division, which we no longer have. We're getting rid of the 2018 Mack plow truck. We're getting rid of the Woodsman chipper. We're getting rid of the Wells cargo trailer, ice maker, 3 sets of lockers, 10 sets of 3 lockers, 6 3-drawer filing cabinets, 15 office chairs, and assorted office equipment. Some of that office stuff was left behind by Elk Grove Village. So those first items through the lockers, through the lockers were road and bridge. The last 3, 7, 8, 9 are actually left. Office products are left behind by Elk Grove Village that we just know we don't need. Now, all of these items will be disposed of either one by being sold, and on the Mack truck, I may delay that a while until I make sure I have all the that I have the IGAs in place, but at least that gives me the option to sell it once that's done. That we don't need the chipper anymore, we don't need the trailer anymore, we don't need the ice maker and the lockers and so forth. We don't need, and we will either sell them, we'll donate them, or we'll dispose of them. We've and some of these things like these office chairs, maybe someone will want them, maybe they won't. We've tried to donate, sometimes you try to donate the stuff and nobody wants them, and you just can't do anything with them. We will be able to sell the chipper, we will be able to sell the trailer. The other items, it depends if somebody wants them or not. So, that's Resolution 2022-3, declaring certain township personal property as surplus, which will allow us to sell or donate or dispose of the following items. We'll probably have another resolution like this down the road because there's more things that we probably will want to dispose of.
Do we need a appraisal of the first 3?
No. Well, I mean, what we will do on the first 3 is we will go out and get a general idea of what they're worth, and then we'll advertise it. It would be what would behoove us if we can do a government agency to government agency sale. Makes it a lot easier, but if we can't do that, we will sell to a private entity. Okay, any questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, can I just ask,
But,
sorry, should I do this now or wait for discussion?
no, it's discussion now. I need a motion to approve it, and I don't think I have a motion to approve.
No.
Motion to approve.
So move.
There's a second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
Yeah, no, just on the wording. On the second whereas, there it says unused property formerly used by the Township Road District,
Yep,
which was recently dissolved. The road district was dissolved?
yes.
Yeah,
Why did we just create a budget for the road district?
the road department now, which
That's not what it
is,
says. It says road.
The road, it's the road department is gone, and once that is dissolved, those responsibilities fall under the town fund, but there still is a separate budget for that.
Right. No, I know that. I'm just saying it, just the wording of it. On this resolution, you say that the road district was recently dissolved,
trying to find-
but the road department was dissolved.
well, we better
I don't
check
know
this.
if
Where
there's-
is it at?
Just on that
This-
second whereas on the resolution,
Second line, Sue Ellen, towards
Okay.
the bottom.
Well, the road district was resolved, but there's still a road department.
I'm not sure what I'd have to look at what the official title is. It road, I don't know, we have a road department now, and we had a road district before. I'm not sure what the actual verbiage was on there. Our attorneys put this together, so
okay.
I'm not sure if the verbiage, I'll check into that. If we need to amend it, I'll bring it back next time to amend it. But I believe, we ran this through
Okay.
our attorneys, and they were comfortable with this, so it should be good, but I will make sure, I won't make sure that we address that, and if we need to amend this, we'll amend it.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion?
Nope.
Okay, roll call?
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee Woteki,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, so Resolution 2022-4, Township Service and Review and Improvement Committee. This committee, we're establishing a resolution to establish this committee. We'll have two committees. We'll have the Agency Grant Committee, and then the Social Services Review and Improvement Committee. The purpose of this committee is to annually review the programs that the township has in place for efficiency and effectiveness, to look at other services provided in the area by other bodies, to make sure that there is not duplication, or that make sure that we're coordinating properly with them, as well as to try to identify maybe services that we should be providing that we aren't providing. This board would submit a report annually to the board. This committee would submit a report annually to the board, and then the board would be free to take whatever action that they want based on that report and its recommendations. The other reason for this new committee is that the Senate, I believe it's, I have to see, I don't know if it's Pat, the governor signed it, but there's a bill, Senate Bill 3789, which will require the year it's passed, and then every 10 years, that the townships, that all taxing bodies, with the exceptions of counties and municipalities, which means townships and all special districts, so school districts, mosquito abatement, all the special districts, will have to conduct a review basically the same as this, except even more comprehensive. So we're putting in place a committee that will do this general work, the general work over every year, and then in the off years, when we have to have the special committee, what we will do is we'll temporarily pause this committee and just reconstitute it to do that special report. But what helps is that if we're doing this every year anyway, basically doing this every year, when you get to that special year for the more comprehensive review and the report that goes to Cook County, probably sit in some dusty drawer forever. But when we have to do that, it will be an easy transition. We'll have been doing this year after year, and we only will have to go a little deeper and have to do a little bit more comprehensive report. In those off years as well, too, all board members have to be on the committee. So all of us would be on the committee that first year it's approved and every 10 years. And the supervisor has to be chairman. In the years that it isn't under SB 3789, in those years, it will be what our Services Review Committee and Improvement Committee, how that's structured. And I structured it in a way that it's easily transitioned to what the Senate bill requires us to bill. So our committee would be, under this resolution, would be 2 trustees, 2 trustees, and 2 employees. So it would be, I'd be appointing Dick Keenley as the chairman, Vince Dante as the trustee, and then Luann Pross and Corey Dewey would be the staff members, since it would relate a lot to their programs. And then the 3 citizens are still to be named. While on the CEF, they can be the citizens, anyone who's professionally qualified to be on the CEF. In this case, they have to be residents. And we would try to identify 3 residents that I would be able to appoint with the consent of or with the advice and consent of the board. So that's what this committee we're establishing is the ongoing committee. But I wanted you to understand that there's a Senate bill that every 10 years we would have to modify. We would pause or temporarily pause this specific committee and set up another one which is basically the same, doing the same thing but more broadly.
And that's, in the beginning, we have
outside
help.
The first year we would pause this and we would do the special committee. And then for the next 9 years, we'd be doing this, and then for that 10th year, we go back to that special one. The first year, too, I will be, and we're given the authority to do this, I'll hire a consultant to help the board, help that committee establish the format for the report, and to help them in developing the type of information that they will need, and how to analyze that, and how to present that in the report. I think one of the key things that I want that consultant to do is identify what data we need and how we collect it. And so that process is consistent through all departments. Right now, we're gathering data. You see these reports we have, but they're not rather consistent. They all are a little bit different. That makes it hard for this committee, whether it's the Senate required one or ours, to do the analysis work if you're dealing with apples and oranges and pears or whatever the case may be. If that individual can help us develop a data collection process that allows easier comparisons and an easier understanding of what we're doing and how well we're doing it, that would be one of the responsibilities. And the second one would be to help the committee develop, to know how to analyze it, and then create a formatted report for presentation. And that format and that process we should be able to use year after year after year.
Does the Senate bill in its current form have a format and template to follow?
No. No. They just tell you what you're supposed to analyze. We will create, and this is what I mean, because every township or every special district is going to come in with their own report.
Well,
And so the county's going to get all these different reports, all addressing the things that are supposed to be addressed. And I would argue too, that most of them are going to say what a great job they're doing. And the county's going to get this stuff, and I don't know what they're going to do with it.
that's why I asked the
I
question,
would-
because if somebody's mandating that you,
Yeah.
there should be a process to
Yeah,
follow.
there is no, it's just the bill lays out what the committee's purpose is, lays out how it's supposed to be structured and how often it's supposed to do it. It does not provide any format for the report or any specific, what the word I'm trying to use, any specific directions, yeah, as what it's supposed to accomplish. But it gives, generally what they're trying to do is they want us all to say, to validate our existence.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, maybe someday what they'll do is they'll try to use it against a particular, body, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's not particularly overly helpful, though I would say
The
that
internal process
I
is
think the
helpful. internal
process will be helpful because it'll cause us to really reflect on and analyze what we're doing. And it may sound great, and we may all love a program, but maybe we'll get into it and we'll analyze the data and we'll get the information and the discussion with the staff members that are running the program, and we'll decide, oh, we're spending a lot of money here on a program that's only benefiting 3 residents of Elk Grove Township, or whatever. I mean, or we've got a program that is effectively working. There's a need for it, but it's not accomplishing what it needs to accomplish. So this is a way for us to really hold ourselves accountable and to continually find a way for constant improvement.
That part sounds fantastic, and I think anybody would be in agreement
No,
with that.
I think so.
My question goes back to what you've already stated.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
the state and not.
No, to do this for us, to be able to work with and to be able to improve what we're doing, I think makes a ton of sense. To do this and send a report to the county, I don't know what that's going to accomplish.
Yeah,
But
I would agree that.
it is what it is.
The process is,
Yeah.
from an internal standpoint, that's very helpful, or very good, but, and that there's a lot to be
Yeah.
left beyond that.
Well, this is something that I was working with Paul for some time, and then when this Senate bill showed up, I said, well, it's a no-brainer, we've got to do it now. I mean, we really should do it, because one feeds into the other, make it so much easier.
If he signs it.
Yeah. All right, so can I get a motion to approve Resolution 2022 for Township Service Review and Improvement Committee establishment?
So,
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Do you have any other questions for me? You see the resolution, you see how it's structured, you see what the purpose is. And as I indicated, I'm appointing Dick as the chair, Vince as the trustee, and then Pross and Dewey as the staff members or participants. And I will come back to the board with the residents and any recommendations you want to give me. That would be great. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski.
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
aye.
Trustee Woteki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, ordinance 2022-3. What the heck? Isn't that the same thing? Same one?
No, one was a resolution.
Oh, yeah,
and one is
that's
an
what I
Oh,
ordinance.
resolution,
That's the same
ordinance,
thing.
I'm sorry, I was reading it wrong. Ordinance 2022-3, Ropolo Subdivision sign approval by Cook County. This is what I was mentioning when I was talking in my supervisor's report. This is the application for approval by the county to install the signs needed for the plan that's been developed by the sheriff's office. We have to get approval for them to place these signs even in the township area, even in the township areas. That's, I think, pretty straightforward. Once we get this approved into the county and approved by the county, we should be able to move forward with the meeting with the residents and the execution of the plan. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
George, my only question regarding this is I understand the signs.
Yeah,
and what its, excuse me, what its purpose is.
Right.
Has the sheriff's department put on extra sheriffs to monitor the area now that these signs are going up, or is it?
Yeah, what the, as you know, we're responsible for the maintenance of the roads, maintaining the roads. The enforcement of the, or I should say, the regulations in terms of the roads is kind of ambiguous, sort of joint between the township and the sheriff's office. The responsibility for enforcement is the sheriff's office. And they have had additional sheriff's deputies monitoring the area. They have added additional time in the subdivision, and they have directed them not to give warnings, but to give tickets.
Yeah, but, you know, my concern is I hear
Yeah.
Heather and, you know, the other
Yeah.
people come in, and we have complied and heard
Right.
the issue. I just don't want to have them come back and say, you guys did a great job, thanks for the signs. We're still having the problem and nobody's doing nothing. You know?
Well, in that particular case, I have to say, we've done probably all we can do. And at that point, the issue is with the sheriff's office. I think as long as Sergeant Brown is there, there will be adequate enforcement. If Sergeant Brown gets transferred and someone new comes in, I can't say.
No, I mean, you can't predict the
Right,
future, I
right.
get it.
And the only modification to this plan that we've made so far is that one of the roads, I forget which one, is half us and half Elk Grove Village. And we wanted to change, it should be all one. I mean, I think that's the way it's supposed to be now. You either have the whole road or you don't. Or you don't. But for some reason, the discussion there is half and half. But on that road, we wanted to go from 25 to 20. Elk Grove said, no, we don't have any roads that are less than 25 miles an hour. We're not going to do any as 20. So we said, okay, we'll just leave it at 25. That's fine. That's the only modification of this plan. Otherwise, everything else that Sergeant Brown and the Sheriff's Office proposed is still in place.
So if I understand correctly, like, I agree that the signs, like you said, we did everything we can do to do that. But the sheriff's department will be notified that these new signs are up.
No, they're the ones that developed the plan.
Okay.
We worked with the Sheriff's
Okay,
Department.
so then it's up to them to enforce
Yeah,
it while the signs are
we
there.
worked with them because we have maintenance responsibility for that area.
Okay.
And then I think jointly we established the regulations. But the regulations and the signs have to be approved by the county. So we work with them, but ultimately they have say in terms of what signs and what the regulations are.
Okay.
The enforcement is totally them. We have no enforcement capabilities.
And then to subsidize these or pay for them, that's through the township.
Yeah,
The
it's our
signs,
road,
we're-
our road,
we're
our
paying
road
for
and
it.
bridge pays for the signs
Okay.
and has them installed, and our road, we repair the roads and we maintain the roads and we plow the roads and we do
Okay.
all of that.
All right.
So more is being done here than has been done. I mean, I'm proud of this board taking the lead on this and getting something done here, which hasn't been done for years and years. And I have to say, it hasn't been fair to the residents that this has just drug on and drug on. Now, that said, once it's all done and done in place, it doesn't do a hill of beans unless it's enforced.
No, I agree.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, did we take a? no.
We have a motion, so we need
We
to
have
take
the
a
motions in
vote.
place. Can we take a roll call vote?
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee Wojcicki,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, the last portion is discussion and action on the fiscal year 2020, what is it, 21 to 22, as well as the 22 to 23 budget regarding the agency grants and in particular, the Kenneth Young Center and Hopeful Beginnings. And the agency grant committee took the responsibility in addressing these issues, and Clerk, our clerk will give her the presentation and recommendations of the committee.
Yeah, we met a couple weeks ago and talked about the invoices, the grant invoices that were not turned in by Kenneth Young Center this year. They did not invoice us for any of their grant money this year. And the thing is, it is all spelled out in their grant contract of how this works and what the deadlines are. So the problem is that we closed our books the end of March and nothing was invoiced. And it isn't the first time it's happened with that agency. So we did discuss it, and we decided we were not able to give them any of that grant money from last year. And then after that, Hopeful Beginnings, they had requested, I think, 3/4 of theirs, but Paul received an email in April for them requesting their last quarter of funds. And again, the same situation, the books are closed. They specifically knew the deadlines in March. So it will be the same situation, that we will be unable to give them any grant money from last year. So how it works is there is a contract for the grants that each agency gets, and they decide whether they want to invoice us monthly, quarterly, or biannually. So, and then when they send that in, they tell us what the services are they're doing for our residents, and the grants are sent out at that time. So that's how it works. So everyone has a schedule, they know what it is, Paul knows what it is, and that's how it's supposed to work. So
I'll give you a little background on this too. Is it 2 years ago or 3 years ago now?
I know 2017.
Okay, 2017, I believe, was Kenneth Young forgot again to submit their invoice. Books were closed, they came in for an extension, and I remember, Dale would remember this, we gave them an extension, even though that money had to come out of the new budget year and had to be taken from our reserves. After that was done, Mike, the supervisor at that time, Sweeney, asked me to draft up a resolution policy that established rules for extensions. And basically what it says is that if you do not, and basically says if you do not submit your invoice by the time the books are closed for that fiscal year, extensions will not be granted. Obviously, the board can always look at something and break their policy, can do something different. But in this particular case, because of the fact that we weren't getting fully invoiced in time by a lot of the agencies, partially or wholly, and particularly the large one, Kenneth Young, it was felt that that policy needed to be put into place and to be followed. The next year, unfortunately, Kenneth Young forgot again, but was able to get the invoice in the last day. That was a problem for us because we have cash flow from taxes coming in, and all of a sudden we had to put out $200 and some thousand at the last minute. And so they were told we need to have this spread out, you know, we need to be invoiced. I don't know what the contract said, monthly, quarterly, whatever it was. And now this year, again, they missed, this time again, they totally missed it. Now, they're not the only one, like I said. If I saw the email I sent out to you guys, of the $600,000 we allocated, we only distributed 300 and some thousand. A couple of the agencies said they didn't need it. Because of COVID, they weren't able to use it. A couple just forgot part of their invoice. They just left some on the table. And a couple didn't invoice us at all. Only 2 came back and asked for extensions. And that's Hopeful Beginnings and Kenneth Young Center. And that's why I said that we would need to put this before the board, before the committee, the agency grant committee, and their recommendations then would be voted on by the board. But I told, Paul told Hopeful Beginnings, and I told Kenneth Young that I am not expecting an extension. So that's the situation. If we approve the committee's report and recommendation, I will go back to both these agencies, inform them there will not be an extension for last year's dollar amount.
They're on the list for this year though, right?
Yes, they're on the list this year. To get, I think, 165,000. It was reduced because we hired we established a contract with Jocelyn Center to provide services that Kenneth Young used to be providing, but where they were backed up so far that we felt the need to do it ourselves. So that's the background on this. Is there a motion to approve the committee's report?
What is it, what's the committee?
The committee's report is, the recommendation is not to provide an extension for either of the two organizations.
I so moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, roll call vote?
I'd like to make an amendment to that.
Okay,
I would like to amend the decision for Kenneth Young by $15,000 for their suicide program.
would that be an extension from last year, or, well, if we're, okay.
It'd be an
It
addition
would
for
be,
this
it would be an
year.
additional to this year's?
Correct.
Okay. That'd be 15,000 for the suicide prevention program.
Correct.
And the reason why we picked the suicide prevention, just out of curiosity here?
Just, there's a lot of issues right now, I know, in the schools and with the youth, and we need help on that,
Okay.
yeah.
Have we,
We've had contact with students from the schools, and we've had some with, who have talked about suicide, and contacting Kenneth Young. They are very backed up on their counseling, so it's very tough when you have someone call and try and get help for someone who is struggling with that, and they can't get in right away. So this would be a good help for them in that area.
all right, so what we do is any issues we run into that are suicide related, we tend to refer to Kenneth Young is what we do, because they're a 288 organization, I guess is what it's called, Certified Suicide
Yeah, what is it?
Prevention Program. I think it's 288.
Yeah, for counseling there.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So what Vince, what you're proposing is an amendment to the motion to provide $15,000, additional $15,000 to the fiscal year 2022 to 23 Kenneth Young grant.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, I'm probably not doing this procedure right here. Is there a
motion to amend.
yeah, is there approval, is there a motion, I need a motion, but you made a motion to amend. Is there a second to that motion to amend?
I second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Woteki,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
and Trustee Bussey.
Aye. So now the motion to amend has been approved. Now we need to make a motion. Now we have to pass the complete,
Okay.
we have to complete the resolution as amended. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the resolution as amended?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? What this is there is not an extension for Kenneth Young or for Hopeful Beginnings on the agency grant, on the agency grants for fiscal year 21 to 22. However, there is a increase in the grant for Kenneth Young by $15,000, specifically for suicide prevention in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget. Okay? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Woteki,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, that takes us through all of our, all the issues on the agenda. Is there anything else that anyone wants to discuss? We can't take action on it, but we can discuss it if anyone wants to bring anything up. Okay, remember, once again, be aware of the parades and the events that we're going to participate in. I guess Sue Ellen and Vince will send out sort of a reminder or a summary of all the different things, so you can make sure it's, you keep it free to participate, and then keep November 13th to 15th available for the Toy Annual Educational Conference. Okay, is there, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, that's moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.